So, similar with gender, sexual identity is often thought of as a binary of heterosexual versus homosexual or straight versus gay. But in reality, this is also a very socially constructed binary. So, a kind of working definition that I use for sexual identity is comprised of three questions. Am I attracted to other people? How am I attracted to other people? And to whom am I attracted? So, this is a subtle or maybe not so subtle reminder that sexual identity is not just who you are attracted to. We have to examine sexual versus romantic versus emotional slash mental attraction when thinking about sexual identity as a whole. So these graphics, which are made by Victoria Barron, by the way, who is a really awesome artist from the UK and who has a great website of a lot of visuals. Victoria explains the different spectrums for sexual identity in these two graphics that I have on this slide. So some people's sexual identity reflects who they're sexually attracted to. Sometimes it's just who they're romantically attracted to, a combination of both, etc. And as you can see, there are so many identities that fall under each of these spectrums. So I'm not going to go over all of these, but I want you to be able to see the wide range of sexual identities there are, just like for gender identities. And I want to point out that the graphics also serve as a reminder that folks can be sexually or romantically attracted to one gender, multiple genders, or no genders. And you can see that here in the graphics as well. So in this next slide, you can see a couple questions that again just serve as guiding questions and ones that can start the conversation. So in your experience, what has led you to feel joy, comfort, safety, community, or belonging in your gender and or sexual identity? And then second, in your experience, what has led you to feel unsafe, erased, spoken for, or targeted due to your gender and or sexual identity? So I know that because of this video format, we can't have the same type of discussion that we might on Zoom or in person, but I'd like you all just to take some time to journal or reflect on these questions in some way. I love to include self-identity reflections in these workshops because I don't think we're always given the time to do so. And I think it's really valuable for us as we become active allies of the LGBTQ plus community. And even just in our educator practices, if we continue to learn about ourselves, it's going to help us support others even better. So in terms of these questions, I'll briefly answer it by just saying that my queer and non-binary identities have arguably given me more joy, comfort, safety, community, and belonging than some of my other identities or even some of my hobbies or interests too. I get so much joy out of being queer and non-binary, and I feel a euphoric sense, the word that we've used earlier. But on the other side of that, those identities are arguably some of the most vulnerable for me as well. They sometimes more so than others, other identities that I hold can lead me to feel unsafe, erased, spoken for, targeted. I have experienced the high highs of gender euphoria post top surgery, for example, and the high highs of being in a queer, happy relationship. But I also have experienced mistreatment and harassment because of my gender and or sexual identity. So in these discussions, I've often heard people with non-LGBTQ plus identities share very vulnerable truths, such as, wow, these questions really allowed me to see that my gender and sexual identity aren't always on my mind. And that's a privilege. And that I haven't been made to feel unsafe or targeted because of them either. So regardless of how you personally identify, I hope you give yourself some time to reflect on your own identities and your own experiences and your own truths. Because, like I said, self reflection is an incredibly important part of being an educator and being an ally to the LGBTQ plus community. And it's an opportunity for personal growth. So now, if we were on Zoom, if you look at this next slide, you can see that Doug here from Up would all tell us to go on break. So, and then also after that, we would do a check-in, as you can see on the next slide, that allows us to step away from this material for a second. So if you want to just take a few moments just to take a deep breath and just to think about a golden nugget from your week. So which can be something exciting that happened, something that made you happy, something that made you proud. My golden nugget is making these videos for all of you. I love doing this kind of work. I love sharing these stories with you. I love connecting with you all, even if it is through a video. And it's something that I love to do, and it's very exciting for me. So that's my golden nugget. And so I'm curious what yours is.